What's going on, everybody? And we're gonna do 4K. Hey, I was oh, Unreal Engine 5. Oh boy. No wonder why I seen some posts on Twitter, but let's see if it's true. It seems like the PS5 Pro is having issues here. Um, and Digital Foundry is about to call it out, along with some other things. But guys, it's the Unreal Engine 5. Remember what I said in all my videos? See what I mean?
Developer Konami's long-awaited Metal Gear Solid 3 remake MGS Delta Snake Eater is finally in our hands on PlayStation 5 and PS5 Pro today, ahead of its August 28th release. More to come on the Xbox Series X and S versions, as and when we have code, but based on the PS5 edition here, it presents as a beautifully realised rendition of an action stealth classic. It's also crucially one that's faithful in many ways to the 2004 PS2 original, while justifying its existence thanks to a stark visual upgrade afforded by Unreal Engine 5. Just as we saw in an earlier comparison to the Master Collection release of MGS3, every aspect of Delta's jungle layout sticks to that original blueprint. Even its cutscenes rely on the same motion capture data, down to the frame, as directed by Hideo Kojima all those years ago. In being rebuilt on UE5 though, we're getting a thoroughly transformed take on the experience. Character models, effects, materials, lighting are all brought to the cutting edge, complete with a global illumination system for indirect light bounce and shading, likely via UE5's software-based Lumen GI. All combined, and in sticking to the tight, segmented area layouts, divided by fader blacks as on the PS2 original, MGS Delta's level of detail can afford to be dialed up to a remarkable degree as a result, often making it a marvel to look at.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really good. That's expected with Unreal Engine 5. Definitely right now in the recent update they launched.
The catch is that in testing both PS5 consoles, there is an issue that cannot be ignored: the performance level. On base PS5, you get two modes, a 60fps performance mode and a higher res 30fps quality mode with boosted settings. The issue is that the 60fps option on base PS5 struggles to actually stick the landing, notably across the jungle areas of the first mission, where it's too often bouncing between 40 to 60fps, and even going down to the 30s while swimming underwater. More concerning is the state of PS5 Pro, which you'd hope would be an improvement. PS5 Pro has no graphics mode toggle at
all. Unreal Engine 5. See, it's not worth all this. I would have rather them did Unreal Engine 4 and give me a really good game that can do 60 no problem. But we'll see what happens over time. I mean, see? Am I blaming the Pro for this? No. This is the Unreal Engine 5. But once again, if you were getting a Pro for certain things, it just it's backfiring. Definitely with the price increase, then you see something like this happening, like that's not what I want to see.
And rather, Konami combines the benefits of both base PS5 modes into one single way to play. That is, the boosted settings of the quality mode, but running at 60fps. This all-in-one approach fits the mission statement Mark Cerny had for PS5 Pro, but the problem is that performance at 60fps struggles, and in fact, in this configuration, PS5 Pro can run at a lower frame rate than base PS5.
What? Now, I know it's running at a higher resolution and everything, probably than the base, obviously, and things higher, but even then, yeah, this is what I mean. You see, why did Unreal Engine 5 get introduced and in this long run, year 2025 from 2020, it's still like this? But they have all that money from Fortnite. So I'm going to give you a free engine that's going to ruin the generation. I would have rather said you can keep that free damage and free broken mess and give me something that's complete. What am I going to do with that? All it's doing is ruining everything because it's incomplete and broken. I need something that's whole so that everybody could use something complete. You see what I mean? And that's where I feel like, no, but then you're helping damage the gaming industry with that. And then games that had so many good games, and then it's like I paid for this and then I have to wait this long for you to fix it. Too many times, man.
Let's go straight to the base PS5 mode comparisons before we get to the Pro situation. In terms of pixel counts, base PS5's performance mode runs at between 720p to 1080p, while the quality mode ranges between 1080p to 1584p, surprisingly higher than the 1440p peak suggested in the menus. In both cases, this reconstructs to a 4K final frame. Looking through the licenses page in Delta's menus on PS5, there's also actually a mention of AMD's FSR3 upscaler halfway down the page, though it's very possible that this is only in reference to the PC release. Either way, clearly, the quality mode is providing the upscaler more pixel data to construct a sharper, crisper frame, though breakup on fine detail like Snake's beard, fences, or swaying grass does cause all the expected issues. Especially on the performance mode, there's disocclusion artifacts.
I'm so annoyed because I'm not getting this on PC day one just because. Unreal Engine 5, I refuse. I'm going to wait on a report from them and I'm going to wait. There's just too many games come out. It's insane. You guys got Helldivers 2 coming. Gears of War is on the way. Kirby, and that expansion, which is not that bad because usually people charge $30 for expansions or whatever. They're only charging 10 or 10 for the upgrade or just 20 for the expansion, which I know that's what they're doing. Then you have this game. Then you got Lost Soul aside. And it's like, damn, man. It's just a lot like happening. And you guys just got Black Myth Wukong. Yeah, it's good. I'm loving it.
An often fuzzy look to dense moving detail, and sadly Delta's busy jungle backdrop sets the scene perfectly for those artifacts to appear.
Man, but I would rather seen a smooth 60. Kojima would have had that at 60.
In terms of settings upgrades, the quality mode's drop to 30 FPS gets you more than just a res boost. Firstly, it increases small object draw distances for rocks or leaves strewn across the jungle. Up close, all scenery detail eventually draws in, but this boost does help to reduce the visibility of pop-in as Snake moves forward. Otherwise, texture resolution is identical in switching between the two modes, as is overall foliage density ahead. In a similar vein, shadow level of detail...
So basically, guys, go for performance mode. You might as well, because it's Unreal Engine 5. It already looks so good. Take that extra performance. Don't go for quality. Unless you just don't care. I'm just saying, don't think about it. You know what I mean? It already looks so much better as a remake. That's the way I would think about things. Just like Cerny said and all those other people. And Cerny like pulled up the stats, and you know, they like to monitor things in ways where you're like, how did you know this many people are choosing performance? But they just don't share the stat with you. But most PlayStation gamers, like Cerny said, like 75% or something, almost 80 choose performance. They're not there for quality. They want that frames.
Is improved on the quality mode, meaning we get higher accuracy shadows rendered at range on quality mode, whereas the performance mode requires stepping a few paces forward to see them. Finally, and most crucially, the global illumination setting is improved for outdoor jungle areas. This again takes full screen switching to catch between the two modes, but the GI upgrade affects the shading and simulated light bounce between trees and under plants. As a result, there are deeper pockets of shade in spots on the quality mode, while in other places the scene is brightened as a byproduct of light reaching more points in the scene. Just one final point, even on base PS5's performance mode, all cutscenes run using the quality mode's upgrades, and with a 30 FPS cap in place too, meaning there's really no difference either way.
Ouch. Yeah, I think Konami's taking shortcuts with the Unreal Engine 5,
Pro,
but does it surprise
y'all?
y'all?
All the base PS5 quality mode enhancements in object LODs, the improved shadow LODs, and the upgraded GI. Curiously, switching between Pro and base PS5's quality mode There's a further difference to the GI setting on the newer mid-gen refresh console.
see that.
Ambient occlusion, shading, beneath plants on PS5 Pro is often thicker. In other words, all of the quality mode upgrades are here, combined with the performance mode's 60 FPS target, making it, in theory, a best of both worlds solution. Perhaps the more radical change, though, is that PS5 Pro switches to Sony's PSSR upscaler, where, based on the PlayStation blog last year, the promise is that PSSR helps Pro to a smoother frame rate overall. Konami adjusts the native resolution as well, now putting PS5 Pro at a dynamic 756p to 1152p. So,
Interesting. To get the 60 frames per second with it on there doing that. Okay.
on paper, that's at least an upgrade
But it's
on
not hitting 60.
PS5's performance mode, while falling short of the quality mode in raw pixels pushed. Still, you'd hope the PSSR factor, the hardware-accelerated AI upscaling, might help to bridge the gap in clarity. To an extent, it is a benefit, but sadly, PSSR also introduces its own issues in the process. On the positive side first, in motion, PS5 Pro has an advantage next to both modes on base PS5. Note Snake's beard and hair in this looping shot, where PSSR more adeptly cleans up the coarse, flickering artifacts as he turns. Likewise, and notably when compared to the 60fps performance mode, PS5 Pro's method is better at dealing with occlusion artifacts, as an object obscures geometry for a few frames. Repeating the test over and over, the result is less flickering on busy mesh patterns, creating a more stable image with PSSR.
That's the only things they're gonna notice though. Like when you're playing the game, that's not really what you care about.
On to the downsides next for PS5 Pro. Point number one is that often you'll notice that PSSR appears to resolve details to a lower resolution overall. Zooming in by 4 times on a still moment, distant details like grass resolve to a crisper result via base PS5 scaling method, surprisingly, even on the performance mode. Partly this is the upscaling method, but there's also the raw resolution metrics to consider, which are on average lower on PS5 Pro before the upscale even begins. So I put
Yeah, or they're not gonna get that 60.
this to the test. For example, this early shot overlooking the jungle ahead puts base PS5's performance mode at 864p in this exact frame, the quality mode at 1412p, and then PS5 Pro trails behind at 756p in this moment. In other words, PS5 Pro has less pixel data to work with it often running at the lowest 756p value of its DRS range. So it's a win in motion for PS5 Pro, with a smarter handling of occlusion artifacts and swaying grass, but if left to settle, the resolved, reconstructed image on PS5 Pro seems to struggle to match the clarity of base PS5.
So it's a moving illusion, but when you stand still, it doesn't benefit you like that. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad that he's calling that out because that actually makes sense.
The final point is perhaps the most frustrating, that PSSR doesn't always properly denoise the image. We've seen this before in the likes of Silent Hill 2 Remake at the PS5 Pro's launch. The result in MGS Delta's case is that there's an increase in shimmer all round on global illumination around interiors, with shading on walls flickering more so than base PS5. To be clear, both PS5 machines have an obvious issue with GI flickering around the lab complex a few hours in. This is without doubt a weak point for Delta's delivery on PS5 and does need addressing. But PSSR appears to accentuate the problem, adding more flicker, more temporal instability to areas where there's no issue on base PS5. It's even noticeable across the shaded patches under grass on PS5 Pro, resulting in more shimmering while outdoors. Overall, the Pro enhancement here is hard to celebrate when there are as many drawbacks as benefits, and worse still, Pro users are stripped of the option to use any other mode or scaler.
So there we have it again. Yes, $50 more now, and yeah, you see, I don't know what to tell you. And Unreal Engine 5, just a lot of things we talk about. Like I said, that's one of the biggest problems this entire generation, period. And it will continue to be a problem until it's fully ready and optimized. Good Lord, let me know what you guys think about this. Ponies, relax. Because right now, It's just the way that it works. Later, y'all.